Welcome to the bold analysis. The reports emerging now is about Kenya Airways, the national airline. I want to humbly request you to kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, and also like our video. I want to say thank you very much for those who support us from different parts of the world. In this analysis, I want to be very factual, so I'll be doing direct reportage on what exactly is in the paper because it borders something financial. Because of financials, I'll try to really get my facts right. President William Ruto is in the US summit, and the US summit that is going on has seen him meet with different business leaders or other entrepreneurs from United States of America. And yesterday, during the launch of the Skyward Express flight to Kakamega, President Ruto, months after, not few days, or rather a month after the longest pilot strike that really affected operations of the airline for nearly 10 days. And I should even get you a clip that tells you, this tells you that even that doctors, even that pilot strike is something that had its own bearing. And the bearing could be on this news you're saying. If you listen to them, they were making statements on what exactly the airport, how exactly the airport is supposed to run. And if you follow, you realize that what is happening now could have a bearing to what they were saying. Listen to what they're saying here.
Wrong with Kenya is, and I shall highlight that. The problem that the government is facing right now, they need, one, to increase our foreign exchange reserves. We've got a problem there. We need to increase our volumes of trade and tourism. Number three, we have a problem of youth unemployment. And then number four, any funding into Kenya Airways should be more of a PPE, because no more loans are acceptable to the taxpayer right now. And our solution addresses those 4 pointers very well. In the recovery of Kenya, as we studied how other airlines recovered, like Japan Airlines in the 80s, they were in the same position. They had SARS. They were being bailed out over and over again, but they could not recover. So, having studied those kind of airlines, Delta Airways, American, Lufthansa, and so many other airlines, we came up with a plan and tailor-made it for Kenya Airways. One of our biggest problems is there's lack of professionalism in Kenya Airways and stakeholder engagement. The Kenya Kwanza government has gone around the country having economic stakeholder engagements. That is fundamentally lacking in Kenya Airways. In the management, there is no tourism representation. There is no horticulture. The meat exporters have no voice in the board or in the current structure of Kenya Airways. And I'll show you the structure of Kenya Airways. Basically, if you look at it, it is a structure of a bank. Where the CEO sits, he's surrounded by security, a lot of the rest of the 14 directors, apart from one who is looking for revenue. The others are holding. At the end of the year, they want to declare how much they have saved from their budget. So in terms of revenue generation, we are practically at 1%. Our new current structure encompasses a key economic drivers of the country, which are transport sector, the horticulture, travel and tourism, remittance.
Kenya is going to prefer a cash-rich foreign airline as a strategic investor in a plan that could offer the national carrier aviation expertise. The person that is going to, rather the investor, will offer the aviation expertise and cuts its reliance in the treasury for the operational cash. It's also true that we need to make it clear that one of the challenges that affected since COVID-19 that affected operations of different airlines across the world, Kenya Airways was not spared. And even 2 years after that pandemic, the airline has had challenges because it's still affected from the effects of that. And at the onset, when Kenya Kwanza administration came into office, they went charm offensive, speaking loudly that it is not going to be business as usual, where the taxpayers' money are going to be used to bail out the national airline. That really attracted the politics of state capture. That brought the politics of state capture because there was a lot of discussion of the money that is being put there is put there and it's going into individual pockets. Questions are arising whether the privatization route by the government of the day is this employed to give back or reward people that had worked with administration before, or it's really in the spirit of helping the airline. On Kenya Airways, a deal will see the state cutting it. There are a lot of services within there. Even the airplanes that the Kenya Airways uses, a majority of them, quite a big percentage, are leased from international, private international companies that lease them to Kenya Airways. And that was the ground where Rigathi Gachagua was speaking about the fact that the airline, despite of it being funded by the taxpayers' money, it's going through a loss because of the high operational costs. Kenya, the experts are asking Kenya Kwanza administration that why are they moving away from the nationalism approach that former President Uhuru Kenyatta put? Because Kenya wanted to emulate the countries like Ethiopia, which run their air transport assets from airports to fueling operations under a single company using funds from the more profitable parts to support other. What's happening in Ethiopia is the airline is run by the government as a private entity because they operate everything from it. So what they do is they pick maybe other sectors that are making profits and pump that money in that. Now, under that model, if approved by the members of parliament, Kenya Airways would become one of the 4 subsidiaries in an aviation holding company. The others would be Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, an aviation college, and the airports, Kenya Airports Authority, operating all under the airports. Do you know that Kenya Airways operates there, but there is something called Jomo Kenyatta International Airport? The question that some 4 emerging factors that now people are talking about is the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport is a national security infrastructure. It's the center of stability of the country. So that the port, the airport, and the Mombasa port, those are entry points to a country. Those are the entry points to a country. So if we are going to give a majority share of Kenya Airways, which is operating in that space, in that place, then analysts also argue that we might compromise on a very sensitive security structure because they then control and limit everything. I really support the move to privatize if and when it is going to make profits, because when it makes profits, government gets taxes, and of course that also helps to increase employability of the airline. So I saw another to my thinker saying uh, the airline makes losses over high operation costs of leasing aeroplanes, which other people believe that some aeroplanes belongs to individuals or even powerful people that were in government. So that's why when the airline was going through losses, heads that used to roll are the heads that locally here. So what are we going to do? If even if we are going to change or we are going to give to an investor, Do you have an investor that have aeroplanes? Or is this the investor still going to renegotiate the agreements, the leasing costs? So that, because that's where the huge operational cost, that's what eats the huge operational cost, the cost of leasing the aeroplanes. I've been following through this. Now, um, when foreigners inject their capital and also management expertise, will it solve the problem of the industrial strikes? Perhaps that is it. A very wild point of view that are also these just goodies to serve election finances? Or when we give such a multi-billion deals to private individuals, how does it affect our democracy? Because on that note, these are people that want status quo. They also have their interest, that they want to serve their interest. And they know that maybe this government is serving their interest. It might also think that they will always want that they have their people around. So at exact time, maybe such kind of proceeds of this deal might get into our election management system, or it can get into our elections. And when that kind of proceeds is injected there, I'm telling you, we still have a long way to go. So it's something that it has a potential of really bailing out the airline from the taxpayers' burden, but it also has a potential of a risk to our national security, as well as, what about if we are doing this in the spirit of making sure that we could be part of pre-election deals that we're just trying to solve? What's your thought on this? And to the people of Kakamega, by the way, you have a new airstrip there, Skyward. I don't know how far is it from Kakamega town, because I wanted to go to Kakamega January, and I am so much skeptical, because, and a question has arose, people asking, do we have enough traffic that is going to make sure that the airline, that Skyward is going to operate that route successfully? Because they need to do maximum flights to that route. That was very effective during electioneering period. But of course, apart from the other members of parliament and the other population from that area, I believe that Kakamega has a very big population. Even the Western region has a very big population. So if that airstrip is going to serve Kakamega, Vihiga, Bungoma, partly Busia, which Busia might be probably Kisumu, partly Busia, it's going to take us very key. It's going to be a very good input for the people of Kakamega. So what's your take? What's your feel? That's my analysis.